My name is Rafli Rizqullah. I'm gonna present about the 7 habits of highly effective people. What is habits? Habits is the intersection of knowledge, skill, and desire. Knowledge is the theoretical paradigm, the what to do and the why. Skill is the how to do, and the desire is the motivation to do in order to make something a habit in our lives. We have to have all three. Um, so by working on knowledge, skill, and desire, we can break through to new level of personal and interpersonal effectiveness as we break with old paradigms that may have been a source of pseudo security for years. It is sometimes a painful process. It is changes that has to be motivated by higher purpose, by the willingness to subordinate what you think what you want now for what you want later. But this process produces happiness. The happiness can be defined in part at least as the fruit of the desire and ability to sacrifice what we want for what we want eventually. These are the 7 habits of highly effective people. There are be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, think win-win, seek first to understand, then to be understood, synergize, and the last one is sharpen and solve. So the 7 habits can be defined as habits of effectiveness because they are based on principles. They bring the maximum long-term beneficial results possible. They become the basis of a person's character, creating an empowering center of correct maps from which an individual can effectively solve problems, maximize opportunities, and continually learn and integrate other principles in upward spiral growth. The first habit is the be proactive, a principle of personal physio. Proactive is now fairly common in management literature. It is a word you won't find in most dictionaries. It means more than merely taking initiative. Means that as human beings, we are responsible for our own lives. Our behavior is function of our decisions, not our conditions. We can subordinate feelings to values. We have the initiative and the responsibility to make things happen. Talking about the responsibility, the people that are proactive do not blame circumstances or conditions or conditioning for their behavior. Their behavior is product of their own conscious choice based on values rather than a product of their conditions based on feelings. Um, so these are no, the different definitions. Taking the initiative. Uh, so it is our basic nature is to act and not to be acted upon, as well as enabling us to choose our response to particular circumstances. This empowers us to create circumstances. Taking initiative does not mean being pushy, obnoxious, or aggressive. Um, and holding so the taking the initiative is has connection with the responsible course. Uh, it is affirming. Um, so proactivity is part of human nature, and although the proactive muscles may be dormant, then they are. The second one is listening to our language. So uh, because our attitudes and behaviors flow out of our paradigms, if we use our self-awareness to examine them, we can often see in which we see ourselves as proactive people. So the problem about the listen to our language is with reactive language is that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. People become uh, well, reinforced in the paradigm that they are determined by those things. And the third one is the circle of concern and circle of influence. Um, we we have a wide of concerns like our health, our children's diets, relationship, co-workers, or global warming, and etc. Those are in our circle of concern. When we look at our circle of concern, it becomes clear that are some things we have no real control over, and others we can do something about. Uh, Another way of becoming more aware of our proactivity is to look at where we focus our time and energy. The second habit is begin with the end in mind. Uh, you can make certain that whatever you do on any particular day does not violate the criteria you have defined as supremely important, and that each day of your life contributes in a meaningful way to the vision you have of your life as a whole. So there's an example by design or default. So it is so what happens if we look at our personal life, if we do not develop our own self-awareness and become responsible for first creation, we empower the other people and circumstances outside our circle, our influence to shape much of our life by default. And the second one is a personal mission statement. Uh, this is the most effective way to begin with the end in mind. Second habit, to develop a personal mission statement or philosophy or creed. So these are my example mission. These are the example of mission statement that are work to help with the tenacity to work for themselves, so that together we can enjoy gratification or accomplishment in our career while giving us the freedom to pursue joy and fulfillment in all aspects of our lives. Second one is personal, to have financially stability, time, and the freedom to enable me to spend time with family, friends, to do job that I love, uh, and etc. And third one is children have the knowledge and resources to help them pursue their passion and purpose so they can enjoy happiness and fulfillment in all aspects of their lives. And And this is the third habit. Put first things first. Habit three is the second creation, physical creation. It is the fulfillment, the actualization, the natural emergence of habit one and three. It is the exercise of independent will toward becoming principle centered. It is the day in, day out, moment by moment doing. In habit three, we are dealing with many of the questions addressed in the field of life and the time management. Um, so the example of the inhibitory is for a generation of time management. So it is explaining about revolution, in the industrial revolution, informational revolution. Its its revolution is succeeding with created by a search of social and personal progress. So the first generation is about characterized by notes and checklists, an effort to give some semblance of recognition and inclusiveness to many demands placed on our time and energy. Second one is the second generation is the wave about reflects an attempt to look ahead to schedule events and activities in the future. And the third one is about time management field. It is proceeding generations the important idea of prioritization. And fourth one is uh, a, a challenge not to manage time but to manage ourselves. And fourth is the fourth habit is think win-win. Um, it is um, an affect. So think win-win is an effective interdependent relationships. We must commit to creating win-win situation that are mutually beneficial and satisfying to each party. So these are the six paradigms of human interactions. There are win-win, win-lose, lose-win, lose-lose, and win, and win-win or no deal. So the best options is to create a win-win situation with win-lose or lose-win. One person appears to get what he wants for the moment, but the results will negatively impact the relationship between those two people going forward. The win-win or no deal option is important to use as backup when we have no deal as an option in our mind. It liberates us from needing to manipulate people and push our own agenda. We can be open and really try to understand the underlying issues. The fifth habit is seek first to understand, then to be understood. Um, Before we can offer advice, suggest solution, or effectively interact with another person in any way, we must seek to deeply understand them and their perspective through empathic listening. When we listen biographically, we have our own perspective as our frame of reference. We tend to respond in all four ways. There are evaluate, uh, I assume that's pronounce probe, advise, and interpret. So evaluate means agree or disagree with what is said. Probe is ask questions from our own frame of reference. Um, Advice is give counsel based on our own experience. And lastly is interpret, try to figure out the person's motives and behavior based on our own motives and behavior. So these um, four ways, uh, if we replace these types of response with empathic listening, we see dramatic results in improved communication. It takes time to make this shift, but it doesn't take nearly as long to practice empathic listening as it does to back up and correct misunderstandings or to live with unexpressed and unresolved problems only to have them surface later on. Um, so this is the sixth habits, synergize. So it is the combination of all other habits, which is the habit of synergy, or when 1 plus 1 equals 3 or more, the whole is great and the sum of its parts. For example, if you plant two plants too close together, their roots will commingle and improve the quality of the soil so that both plants will grow better than they would on their own. Um, so synergize by understanding synergize and valuing the difference in another person's perspective, we have the opportunity to create synergy, which allow us to uncover the new possibilities through openness and creativity. Um, so synergize allows us to create new alternatives and open new possibilities. It allows us to, as a group, to collectively agree to ditch the old scripts and write new ones. Synergy allows you to value the differences in other people as a way to expand your perspective. Second one is sidestep negative energy and look for the good in others. Third is exercise courage in interdependent situations to be open and encourage others to be open. And last one is catalyze um, creativity and find a solution that will be better for everyone by looking a third alternative. And this is the last, uh, the seventh habits. Um, so habit seven is focus around renewal or taking time to sharpen the saw. It surrounds all other habits and make each one possible by preserving and enhancing your greatest assets. It is yourself. So there are four dimensions of our nature, and each must be experienced. Exercised regularly and in balanced ways. There are eat well, get sufficient rest and relaxation, um, exercise on a regular basis to build endurance, build endurance, flexibility, and strength. So there's spiritual dimensions. Uh, so this is the spiritual dimension is the goal of renewing our spiritual self is to provide leadership to our life and reinforce your commitment to our value system. So to renew spiritually, you, we can do practice daily meditation, communicate with nature, immerse ourselves in a great literature or music. Um, Focus on our spiritual dimension helps us practice habit too. Oops. Um, where was I? It helps us practice habit too as we continuously revise and commit ourselves to our values so we can begin with the end in mind. And there's mental dimensions. It is the goal of renewing our mental health is to continue expanding our mind, but to renew ourselves mentally, we can read a good literature, keep a journal of our thoughts, experience, and insights. And there's a limit television watching to only those programs that enrich our lives and mind. There is social or emotion AI dimension. In social or emotional dimension, it is the goal of renewing ourselves socially is to develop meaningful relationships. So to renew ourselves social or emotionally, we can seek to deeply understand other people, make contributions to meaningful projects that improve the lives of others, or maintain an abundance mentally and seek to help others find success. Um, those are my presentations about seven highly um, um, seven habits of highly purpose. Thank you for your attention.